Carbon dioxide is currently the most damaging of the greenhouse gases warming our planet. This is because we produce so much as a result of our overconsumption and energy-intensive lifestyles. Every year, the global population produces around 37 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions. This is the biggest cause of climate change and one of the greatest threats to this planet's future. We cannot see carbon dioxide, but if we could, it would look something like this. Let's take a closer look at some specific countries and their annual emissions. In China, 11.4 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide are produced every year. In the USA, over 5 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide are produced every year. In the UK, 347 million metric tons of carbon dioxide are produced every year. In Bangladesh, 9.3 million metric tons of carbon dioxide are produced every year. Sadly, the countries producing the least carbon emissions will suffer the most from the effects of climate change. In Bangladesh, for example, 1 in 7 of the population will lose their homes as a result of sea level rise. Globally, on average, we produce 4.7 metric tons of carbon per person per year. So let's look at how much an average person produces in each of our chosen countries. An individual in China produces around 7.38 metric tons of carbon per year. An individual in the USA produces around 15.52 metric tons of carbon per year. An individual in the UK produces around 10 metric tons of carbon per year. An individual in Bangladesh produces around 0.6 metric tons of carbon per year. So, does what you or I do matter? Let's look at 2 average households in the UK, each with 2 adults and 2 children, and producing around 30 tonnes of carbon every year. Our Green family have decided to try to reduce their impact on the planet by changing their lifestyle. Let us see how they could reduce their household carbon emissions. Household heating and electricity produces more than 4 tonnes of carbon per year. By turning their heating down by just 1 degree, and being more energy efficient and moving to renewable energy sources, our Green family could save 3 tonnes of carbon per year. That is equivalent to 1,500 CO2 fire extinguishers. Food production creates a lot of our carbon emissions. A meat and dairy-based diet can create around 3 tonnes of carbon per year. Eating less meat and dairy and reducing food waste halves the Green family's carbon emissions. That's 1.5 tonnes per year saved. That is equivalent to 187,500 litre bottles of cola. Transportation is our next major contributor to carbon emissions. Both families have 2 cars and drive to school and work. Each car emits 2 tonnes of carbon per year. Our Green family decides to sell both of their cars and buy 1 electric vehicle to share. Their children now walk the 15 minutes to school every day. This saves them 3.5 tonnes of carbon per year. Our Red family also flew to Europe for a holiday this year, while our Green family decided to go by train, which saved over 4 tonnes of carbon emissions. Together, that is equivalent to 60 double-decker buses. General consumption and household waste contribute massively to carbon emissions. Our Red family buy a lot of clothes and goods, which costs 2 tonnes of carbon per year, plus the additional emissions produced by the transportation of those products around the globe. By buying less and moving towards pre-loved clothes, our Green family save 1 tonne of carbon per year, and that is equivalent to the weight of 5 polar bears. By recycling, they save 2 tonnes of carbon per year and also reduce the amount of waste ending up in landfills. And that is the equivalent to the weight of 20 giant pandas. So, by making a few changes, our Green family reduced their carbon emissions by over 15 tonnes per year. That's the equivalent to 13 hot air balloons. Imagine if we all made these changes to how we live our lives. Everyone can make a difference to help us achieve our net zero emissions target by 2050. So, why not take some steps to reduce your carbon footprint today, to make a positive impact on tomorrow? Maybe you could save the equivalent weight in carbon of a family of polar bears, while at the same time helping to save their home.